Losing weight is super simple, so I'm gonna explain the biology and processes behind the weight loss and the secrets people don't discuss that allow the bummiest man ever to stay shredded. I looked at new studies and spent over 100 hours on this, so you've got to get something out of this video. One thing I found that shocked me was a new study you can find on the National Institute of Health, saying the target fat loss was possible. But I'll have to get into that later. First, let's start with calories. Foods vary drastically in calorie content. Some foods are high energy sigmas. Other foods are low energy frauds, like megameat. You can eat the high energy sigma foods, but you probably want to eat the low calorie foods, which are low energy foods, for weight loss. There are other diet factors that have a big effect though, like whether or not you eat highly processed foods, as there have been studies that show people who eat highly processed foods gain much more weight than people who just eat the whole foods. The reason for this is that the heavily processed foods don't leave you feeling that full in comparison to the whole foods, which make you feel much more full. You also want to take note of foods that cause your insulin to spike up really quickly like this, or the glycemic index of foods, which basically just measure how quickly foods spike your blood sugar. As eating foods that won't spike these responses will definitely help you lose weight. The next thing, of course, is the classic protein needs. It's really just basically 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Or 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Eating this way is super important as well, as it'll help you maintain your muscle while you lose your weight, which is really important because you probably don't want to just lose a bunch of muscle while you're losing weight. The next thing is your fiber. You'll also want to eat about 30 grams of fiber per day, as that will make you feel even more full. Fiber doesn't contribute to your calories, but it does make you feel more full, so it's like a freebie. Exercise. Exercise is super duper important for weight loss, as if you don't do it, you'll lose a bunch of muscle instead of fat while you're losing the weight. So it's one of the most important things you can do, so make sure you're strength training when you're trying to lose weight. Here's the general advice. For strength training, do 10 to 20 sets for each muscle per week, and then have those sets be in the 6 to 12 rep range, as well as that you want each set to be 2 failure or pretty close to it, 1 to 2 reps in reserve. And also you should be training each muscle 2 to 3 times per week. That's about all the advice I think you need for this. But some people say some exercises are more optimal than others. I'm not going to cover all of that here because that's too much. You can figure that out from somewhere else. Cardio increases your caloric burn, leading to much more weight loss than if you weren't to have done it. This means it's actually quite important for losing weight, as when you do it, you'll burn more calories even if you eat the same amount of food. Each form of cardio that you do will burn calories, so you can do each of them, whether that be zone 1 or zone 2, 3, 4, or 5. You may be wondering, what are the different zones of cardio you're talking about? Well, zone 1 to 5 are different zones of cardio, which are basically just differentiated based on how fast your heartbeat is going when you're doing them. Zone 1 has the lowest heartbeat, and Zone 5 has the highest heartbeat. Strength training and cardio are both super important for weight loss. If you do one but not the other, you won't be getting the full benefits that you possibly could be getting. Strength training, of course, helps you maintain and build your muscle while you lose weight. Cardio helps you lose weight more quickly and easily without the same mental struggle that you have to deal with if you don't do it. Objection! I'm glad you asked. There are several things you can do. One is eating spicy foods, which is thought to slightly increase your calories burned by maybe 50 per day, which, even though it is close to nothing, might be worth something. But there is something better than that, which you're probably maybe drinking already, which is coffee. Coffee will increase your calories burned by about 5 to 11% per day. A lot more than just 50 calories. And this isn't just some random idea, this is considered true by the National Institute of Health, meaning it does have quite a bit of evidence behind it. The next big thing for weight loss is NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which basically just means activity that isn't exercise that still burns calories, like doing your laundry, gesturing, walking around, and all that good jazz. This can burn over 1,000 calories per day, which is quite substantial, I'll admit. Now that is the higher end of what's possible, but it's definitely still possible for you to do. So it shouldn't be too hard to comprehend why it's actually pretty important for weight loss. So if you want to lose weight, just make sure to do your laundry and dishes, as that can actually genuinely help out quite a bit. One more critical aspect of weight loss is sleep. Researchers have found that if you sleep less than 6 hours a day, you'll lose 55% less fat than if you sleep enough, so it's definitely a major thing. And the steps to get really good sleep aren't even that hard either, so you should do them. First, in the morning, get some sunlight. It's been shown that if you get sunlight, it'll rewire your body to be like, hey, yeah, this is absolutely the time that I need to wake up in the morning. So instead of fighting against your efforts to fix your sleep schedule, they're actually fighting with it, which of course I'm sure we both really want. The next step is taking care of those electronics and turning them off an hour before bed. This is super important as well, and it relates kind of exactly back to the reason I just discussed, and that's the blue light that comes off of those devices that you're using act kind of like the sun, telling your body that you need to be awake. So a simple solution is just to shut them off and instead go read a manga or your Bible. You definitely need the holy scriptures of God a little bit more though, we'll both admit that. One thing that's helped me personally though is drinking chamomile tea about an hour before bed. Some other people say it helps too, so it probably has some benefits. Also, taking magnesium an hour before bed as well has been shown to help with your sleep. Surprisingly though, getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night isn't the most important factor of sleep. It's actually the consistency of the time that you go to bed and fall asleep and wake up. So definitely make sure you lock that in, otherwise you'll be facing a lot of problems. I don't know if it's better for weight loss to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep or to sleep consistently at the same time, but for your health, I hear it's better to sleep consistently at the same time. I'm not an expert in specifically the sleep stuff, so don't quote me on that. But I will be quoting experts on the next topic because it's pretty controversial. Likely you want to lose weight more in some areas than others, like your stomach instead of your thighs. Almost every fitness influencer says that's impossible, because there was a long scientific consensus about it. This was due to studies which tested whether you could spot reduced fat by strength training muscles during weight loss. Ones that used very bad measurements for fat loss as well. That is an oversimplification, but what do you expect from me? Have you even watched this video? Anyways, a new recent 2023 study decided to test fat loss in 16 overweight men after a 10-week program. This 10-week program split these men into two groups. One did 27 minutes of running, followed by 57 minutes of core-focused cardio. The other group simply did 45 minutes of treadmill running. They made sure the calories burned by both groups were similar, and the total fat loss was measured at the end of the 10 weeks using a DEXA scan, which is basically simply put the gold standard for measuring fat loss and body composition. Doing all of this, it was found that the men who did the core-based cardio lost 700 more grams of fat in their trunk region than the control group, despite losing the exact same amount of weight almost. That's like a really big, several pounds kind of big difference. The control group lost almost nothing in their midsection on the other hand. This study seems to suggest that spot reducing fat is in fact maybe possible. Just a maybe though.